Zooey, 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 mama. Alright, listen. I just wrapped off the second season, or not the second, the third season of The Wire. I'm just making this video for me so I can go back and listen to it, have an opinion on it, talk about it, right? The third season of The Wire is probably the best season of the show so far. This season was fantastic. It was amazing. That's all I have to say. It is amazing. I feel like I always have the concept of wanting to rank the episodes. I can maybe say like which ones are my favorites loosely, but I think it's so hard to say, oh, this episode's a 5 or a 4 or a 3 or a 2, even though I have the little episode rankings here, which I'm not going to do. Because the way The Wire works is that I think I can only consume it, or the only way I can really parse through it or converse about it in a way that somewhat makes sense is to go season by season. And even if you go season by season, you gain more and more information. I feel like once I finish the whole show, it's going click click. But this show is amazing. This is one of the best shows I've seen in my life. Season 3 specifically was something special, right? I feel like season 3 has so many different topics it wanted to discuss. So I'm gonna go bit by bit, alright? I'm gonna go character by character. I'm gonna just give a rough estimation, right? The biggest thing that just shoots out at me is Culver, right? Culver is, or Bunny, I think it's Bunny Culver, right? Bunny. Colvin, I'm stupid. I'm mixing Carver and Colvin. Um, Basically, the whole narrative, right, is that Bunny is at the end of his career. Long ass career. He's respected. He's a major. And in the beginning of the season, the Western is on some bullshit. The Western District of Baltimore, the police department, is on some bullshit. You got niggas like Herc and Carver who were mad as fuck because last season they didn't get to kill no niggas or murk no niggas or do some bullshit. So because of that, they decided to start wilding out this season. They start beating on niggas. They start doing some bullshit. And Colvin sees this, and he decides to make the idea to essentially legalize drugs in a small part of the district, small part of the area that he has control over, and basically push all the drug dealers, all the dope fiends into that one area, away from the schools, away from all the hospitals and local streets and shit like that, just by itself, a fucking vacant parking lot in the corner of town. And because of that, he essentially cleaned up most of the streets. All the streets, 14% decrease in crime, right? It was working. And Colvin had a different perspective on the war on drugs than a lot of other people. And he was talking about how being a police officer requires actually helping your community, and this war on drugs mentality that has existed since what, the 80s, is actively detrimental to the relationship between the average person and the police. And so what that led to was violence. It led to a bunch of bullshit basically. And Colvin was fighting against that system. And what I find sad is for Carcetti, which I don't even think has bad intentions. Colvin really shows him the ups and the downs, but in that last scene, you kind of know that Carcetti doesn't even believe on in this violence against the war on drugs. Like, gotta get every gun, we gotta shoot what we gotta shoot to succeed. Why does he believe that? Because he had to play the game. The system. What I love about the show so much is that they show that there's good people and bad people, but there's a system in place. It's one of the best shows in showing how systematic the system, I'll just say capitalism, systematic, the police department systematically, whatever, on how that there are some good people in that system, bad people in that system, or just people in that system. But either way, the system works a certain way, and it actively rewards you being a piece of shit, right? It actively rewards you for being a bad person. That's what this season really shows, is that if you try to fight against the war on drugs, if you try to fight against the police department, if you try to go in another way than complete violence against drug dealers, or going in a different perspective than Oh, we're gonna get bigger guns. We're gonna fucking start beating up random black niggas in the street. That's what's gonna help, even though it hasn't, right? And I think that that was really interesting. Seeing Carcetti in the end, even though he saw Bunny Colvin's plan, and he even respected it and said, "Wow, like this is a viewpoint and a mindset that would really benefit. Like there's actually some merit in it." But he couldn't do it because that wouldn't have won him the election. That he had to play the game. I love seeing Daniels actually get promoted. For 2 seasons that nigga was doing shit. And Daniels was suffering by the same shit. He was fighting against the system and he learned to play the game. He played the motherfucking game, bro. And it wasn't easy, but the Barksdale organization basically done with. Avon in jail, Stringer being dead. Now, I want to talk a little more about Stringer because Stringer is such a fantastic villain, specifically for this show. I'm gonna do a little tier list of some shit on my favorite characters because this show is essentially about capitalism. It's about the effects on capitalism on different structures. It's about the effects on capitalism with the police department, the effects on capitalism with politicians, the effects of capitalism on the streets. It's how essentially capitalism affects how it kind of doesn't really work within our in the city. We'll just say in the city of Baltimore, right? But it's supposed to work for any city, right? That's the concept, right? Now, what's interesting about it, in my opinion, is the fact that Stringer Bell is essentially a caricature of the black capitalist, right? Avon said earlier in the series that he was super into black power, super woke and shit like that. And you could see that Stringer's mindset is his belief that if he separates himself from the streets, if he gets as much capital as he can, if he becomes this businessman, if he moves in a way that he feels like he has to move, nigga, he's going to liberate himself from the streets, liberate himself from death, from jail, from being a part of that. He thinks if he gets some bread, he can get up there, and maybe he could have. But the issue is that that's what led to his demise. That's what led to Stringer's death. And I think it's such a beautiful critique on capitalism that one of the biggest villains is literally like a caricature of the black capitalist. I think that's fantastic. But they still humanize Stringer. And oh my god, I thought it was so beautiful on how Avon and Stringer essentially ratted themselves out. That the death of the Barksdale organization wasn't Marlowe. It wasn't the fucking bullshit ass police. Nah, nigga. It was them killing each other due to their own mindset. Avon and Stringer are both extremely intelligent, but Avon was more of a street nigga, and Stringer was more of a businessman. And how those interconnected and intertwined, because Avon still got a little business in him, and Stringer definitely got a little bit of street in him. And seeing how it just fucked up, it was beautiful, I think. In my opinion, I think that this season just it ended off beautifully in showing Jimmy McNulty finally getting some character development, finally realizing that after Stringer dies, he realizes that the police cases and this empty ass life he's doing where he's drinking and being fucked up and doing all this shit that everyone knows about McNulty is not going to help him. And so he does something really beautiful. I love that ending from McNulty. McNulty is one of my favorite characters. Kima also kind of shows the negative side of McNulty because it shows how throughout the entire season there's been small moments of McNulty talking about how he cheats and how it's so easy to cheat that in the end you could see Kima cheating on her partner. And it's so fucking sad because it essentially shows that Kima's damn near on the same path that McNulty's on. Kima's gonna get caught up, probably. Kima's gonna have nothing but the casework, and it shows how kind of toxic McNulty is or was, you know. So Stringer was fantastic. Avon was fantastic. Carcetti was fantastic. Colvin was fantastic. McNulty, of course. Daniels and Rhonda's relationship was surprisingly well done. Bro, the middle of the season had me locked in with how fucking insane some of it was, but that shit was hilarious. I think that they have a lot of chemistry, way more than McNulty and Rhonda had. And I think it's well done. I really fuck with Daniels. Daniels is one of my favorite characters in the whole show. Prez shooting that one nigga. Not gonna lie, Prez is a fuck up. But I think it was interesting to show internalized racism in the police department, where niggas who I don't even think are outwardly racist could show aspects of that just through the fear or whatever, you know what I mean? And so yeah, that's Prez was fire. Freeman, bro. Freeman, of course, one of the best fucking detectives ever. Period, nigga. Fuck. Who else? Bodie has been getting better for me. I fuck with Bodie, bro. Bodie not that bad, but I really fuck with Bodie. Um, Omar. Oh my god, Omar was so good this season. So good. I'm really falling in love with this character more and more and more and more as episode goes by and episode goes by. He's one of my favorite characters. Probably my top three, maybe top two. He is so beautiful seeing. It's so beautiful seeing how everyone in the streets, he's one of the only niggas who's willing to fight for the people around him, who takes personal responsibility for the deaths of the people around him. Avon, niggas like that will, no disrespect to Avon, I love Avon, but they'll lose a nigga, and then they'll use their other people to get back at the nigga who made them lost that nigga. But Omar's more the type of guy where he's like, yo, I lost somebody, and that's on me, because I made them do a thing. So now I'm gonna push everyone away so I can deal with this myself. And I think that's just a little bit of nuance on it. And I love Omar. Omar's a really well done character. Brother Mouzon's fucking hilarious. Middle Ground's one of the best episodes of all time. I'm thinking about it as amazing. The closing episode, one of the best episodes of all time. Season 3, episode 8, one of the best episodes of all time. Fantastic season. Fantastic season. Better than season 2. It was like, I still think to this day, season 2, episode 11 is still my favorite episode of the series. This episode's so fucking good. These last 3 episodes are masterpiece level in my opinion. In my opinion, everything after episode 6 is fantastic, but these 3 are fucking crazy in my opinion. Just so fucking good. Now, season 3, I feel like it's just a more consistent season. No, I feel like it handles more topics, Cuddy, I forgot Cuddy, I love Cuddy. Tackles more topics in a more interesting way. It has more characters doing different shit, interesting shit. It's way more consistent front to back. Never felt like, in episode 6 is usually like the Wire thing where like halfway through the season it'll just immediately, the pacing will like double. And I feel like that didn't happen. It just slowly ramped up and it felt really fucking good. One of the best seasons of television I've seen in a while. Really fucking good. Really, really good. So consistent. So well made with some amazing episodes here and there. Fantastic character development. Beautiful ending. Just fucking good. If it ended here, I wouldn't be mad. So fucking good. But yeah. I'm not gonna do no tier list and nothing crazy. I'ma just wrap up what I gotta wrap up. You feel me? I might do a little tier list. I don't feel like I have to. I just wanted to talk about the season for a little bit. But yeah. Stay safe, y'all. This is just me for like 13 minutes yapping.